Please forgive that my video is not working. You don't need it anyway, right? But you can hear my voice. So this morning's topic is purifying our gaze. And Lent is a great time to devote extra attention to purifying our gaze. And there are many different angles that I could go into about this topic, but I chose this one. Actually, I feel that I was guided since I opened up to whatever might come to me in the life of Jesus. And what came to me is this passage in John's Gospel, and the title of it, excuse me, is Jesus, the Bread of Life. The sacramental system of the Eucharist and all of its symbolism comes largely from this passage. And I'd like to invite you to take it as openly as you possibly can. I myself do not believe that these words attributed to Jesus mean that you have to believe you have to eat his body and drink his blood in order to be saved. I believe that with all my heart that is not what was necessarily intended. I do believe that there are individuals that are meant to receive that as the truth, and it becomes a gateway for them in their evolution and in their wholeness. But I don't believe it's necessary. I don't believe it's an absolute truth. I do believe, though, that the passage points to an absolute truth, and that is that we find the bread of life when we look beyond appearances. Now, in John's Gospel, this passage comes right after the miracle of the fishes and the loaves. And many, many people, because he is becoming more and more a celebrity, came up to him. And he said to them after this miracle, and he had traveled to the other side of a lake, he said, "Very truly, I tell you, you are looking for me, not because you saw the signs, but because you ate and had your fill." How often in life we stop short at the signs, and yet the signs that happen in our lives, the signs that we would attribute to be miracles, the signs that shake our path up and question the direction that we're going in, the signs that let us experience our union with God in spirit internally. All of these events and circumstances are meant to take us somewhere else than landing right there. It's not that we're meant to give up the excitement, the celebration, and the beauty when miracles happen, when we have synchronicity, when flow happens, when we have an insight that sets us free. It's not that we're meant to deprive ourselves of the celebration of the sign that we have, because signs carry within them an inherent eternal beauty. What it does mean, though, is that we're meant to look beyond the sign, and that takes purifying our gaze. Part of that process is the letting go of the ways we want to lean into people, places, and things for an affirmation of what we are, or for answers, or for belonging. What is the reason that you look towards things outside of yourself? And even after Jesus says this, they ask again, what sign are you going to give us so we can believe in you? So here he's just worked this great miracle, and they're still saying, well, but what sign will you give? As though that sign wasn't enough. He points them again and again and again that his very being is the signpost, his very being. And he doesn't want anybody to stop at him. I think in this way, He is, in many respects, a guru, because a guru or a saint or a holy one, as they embody God, as they stand before us as the God presence, their words will always hail, "Don't stop at what you see in me. Go beyond. Let what you experience in me take you to the deeper revelation." So our meditation this morning is an opening to this passage in such a way that we open to a deeper revelation. So Jesus points to himself and he says, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry." But again, he asks, as you come to him, as you recognize that his very being is an embodiment of life, that let it be a gateway to experience what? To experience divinity. In that way, I see truth in this passage. So our meditation this morning is going to be the simple exercise of opening up to what is the truth for you. If you sit and recognize that one element of creation, in this case Jesus, could be the bread of life, what does it mean for the rest of creation? Is all creation the bread of life? Are you the bread of life? And can you come into that embodiment in such a way that whoever comes to you never goes hungry? Whoever experiences God in you is never thirsty. Let's open up to a dynamic experience of this passage. So I invite you to close your eyes and focus for just a minute on the solidity of yourself, of the physical form that you are. And as the physical form that you are observing as a part of yourself that's much more than the physical form, aren't you? And just as bread is dense and made up of many parts that form one loaf, so you are dense and made up of many parts that form one you. And so we, meditating here, reflecting here, are many parts making up one body. And the world that's made up of so many parts forms one creation. So I invite you to personally invite in the presence of Jesus and either sense that presence or imagine it sitting across from you. You can gaze into each other's eyes, or you can have your eyes closed. And together, just as these words attributed to Jesus come out of his mouth, I invite you on the breath to say with me on the inhale, "I am," and on the exhale, "the bread of life." You can say this audibly or silently. And we begin. I am the bread of life. 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 And we sit together with Jesus in an open question to the revelation of what this truly means. Start here. Purify your gaze in relation to who you are, and the world will be a very different place to you. Let yourself settle for nothing less. Towards the end of this passage, many leave because this teaching, it says, is too hard. It's too hard. But when Jesus asked Peter, "Are you going to leave?" Peter says these dramatic, emotion-filled words, "Lord, to whom shall we go?" Let us together purify our gaze and settle for nothing less than experiencing the truth of being the bread of life, and find that there is nowhere else we can go to find true rest. Great to be with you as always, my friends. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.